Focus Nigeria. It's a huge task, but we take it on.
I think that is the law.
National Assembly is not doing hearing on insecurity in Nigeria. It is America that is doing hearing on insecurity in Nigeria.
Monday to Friday on Focus Nigeria, we identify the nagging issues.
Some people put people in poverty deliberately, deliberate misplacement of priorities, and brought people on their knees to suffer.
We seek answers to the tough challenges.
And because of
from the former president,
yes.
What I know is that he has not turned his membership card. He has not been attending your meeting.
Leave that to us to deal.
There's no shying away from the
The
issues.
system is held accountable. The leaders are accountable for the funds, for the resources that they manage.
No sitting on the fence.
The same thing that made you live where you are may confront you.
Focus Nigeria, 10 a.m., Monday to Friday on AIT. The issues as they break. The multitude, the political figures, the state and non-state actors.
It's a serious threat to democracy.
And our governments seem to be incapable of protecting.
The scheming.
This is not a period we should sit back and go.
Every part of this country is equal.
The intrigues.
There can be no one person that is bigger than the party.
Deft moves and the momentous declaration.
We didn't get any protection.
I'm not particularly against anybody.
We track and capture them all.
I don't believe in godfatherism in politics.
Follow in-depth analysis and no-holds-barred interviews.
Armed forces of the country is well capable. They need the political will.
Are they just waking up from sleep? Is there complacency?
Feel the pulse of happenings in the political arena on AIT Democracy Today. Widely acclaimed authority on politics. Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. Nigerian time. The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live. The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live. The stories now break.
Hello there. Apologies for starting tonight's show a little bit behind schedule. I do hope you understand. Now, the last national convention of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, was held on March 26, 2022 in Abuja, where the current leadership of the party was elected. While another national convention is currently scheduled for this March, the 2022 one remains the most recent national convention for selecting the National Executive Committee. 4 years after, the All Progressives Congress, the APC, is currently preparing for the 2027 political race in the nation's capital this Saturday. The convention is the party's highest decision-making event and is intended to strengthen internal democracy and unity. Now, here are some key dates to take note of. The national convention is slated for March 25 to 28, 2026. The zonal congresses have held since March 21, 2026, while the state congresses were held since March 7, 2026. Now, the leadership involves Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State, and he serves as the chairman of the 73-member Central Coordination Committee overseeing the convention preparations, while former Katsina State Governor Aminu Bello Masari also chairs a high-powered convention committee. Now, the expectations from the National Convention, of course, focuses on addressing critical party leadership roles, reinforcing support for President Tinubu, and decisions on constitutional amendments. Now, we know that the party is governed by the APC's constitution, which was amended in 2022. The party's constitution outlines its organizational structure and member obligations. The recent developments regarding the constitution include ongoing review of the constitution. As of early 2026, the APC has initiated a nationwide constitutional review process, and the goal is to make the party more inclusive, specifically by strengthening the representation of women, youth, and persons with disabilities, incumbency rights, and national authority, as stated in the Constitution's Article 13, Article 3. It grants the National Working Committee, the NWC, and the National Executive Committee, the NEC, that's the next, significant powers to oversee state chapters and ensure uniform decision-making. The convention frequency on Article 25, subsection A and I, allows the parties constitutionally to hold a national convention at least once every 2 years. So, what could be responsible for the delay of extra 2 years? Let me also refresh your memory about the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC's internal crisis surrounding its Saturday's national convention, with multiple aspirants alleging the hoarding of nomination forms, calling it a deliberate attempt to deny them the opportunity to contest, which they argue violates the party's constitution and principles of internal democracy. Now, these allegations were made by some aspirants, including Ambassador Dagogo Fubara and Dr. Umar Duhu, among others, who are yet, though, to make their grievances public. They have also alleged that despite paying 5.1 million naira fees and above, they were refused nomination forms for key leadership roles such as Zonal Vice Chairman South-South or North-East due to automatic tickets for mostly National Assembly members. Now, let's take a look at the party's constitution and what it says regarding violation of members' rights. Articles 9, 10, and 13 state clearly that the Constitution provides transparent processes and equal opportunity for members to contest positions. Now, Article 9 on membership eligibility says membership is open to any Nigerian citizen aged 18 or older who accepts the party's aims and objectives, provided he or she is not a member of another political party and abides by the APC's constitution. Regarding registration, Articles 9, sub 1, 2, and 3, application is made at the ward level. Online registration is valid and acceptable provided it is cleared by the National Working Committee, the NWC. Now, obligations of members is that they must pay dues and levies, abide by the Constitution, and conduct themselves in a way that does not bring the party into disrepute. Now, talking about members' rights, only fully registered and financially up-to-date members have the right to vote or be voted for in parties' primaries. Article 10 talks about the organization, its structure. Now, the party is organized into different levels, starting from the Ward Executive Committee, the Local Government Area Executive Committee, State Executive Committee, to the National Executive Committee. Now, in order of hierarchy, in terms of hierarchy rather, the National Working Committee, the NWC, holds overriding powers over state, local government, and ward chapters, designed to ensure uniformity in decision-making and control by the national body. Now, Article 13 talks about the powers of the party's organs. The National Convention is the highest organ of the party responsible for, supreme policy decisions. And the National Executive Committee has the power to approve membership registration procedures and oversee party discipline. National Working Committee handles the daily administration of the party. It has the power to give lawful directives to all officers, organs, and members at all levels. Primary elections. Now, Article 13 empowers the NWC under the guidance of the NEC to conduct party primaries and manage the issuance of nomination forms. Now, there are key amendments to the 2022 and the updates reflected in these articles. It talks about automatic tickets. Its sitting president and governors are granted first right of refusal for re-election. Now, online registration officially recognized to promote inclusivity, financial membership, members who fall behind in dues, they lose certain privileges. Now, On democratic practices, critics argue that anointed candidates are being favored by certain members of the outgoing National Working Committee, with officials at the National Secretariat in Abuja supposedly instructed to withhold forms. Screening as barrier. The requirement to purchase forms is being treated by some officials not as a procedural step, but as a mechanism for disqualification before the screening process even begins, contradicting, democratic principles. Now, while some party members have alleged deliberate exclusion, the party leadership has maintained that all actions are guided by internal zoning arrangements restricting eligible candidates to specific regions, despite the claims of hoarding. The party has sometimes, directed affected candidates to obtain their forms directly from the National Secretariat in Abuja rather than at the state level, citing official channels for purchasing. Now, the allegations, similar to disputes in 2014 and 2018, show deep divisions within state chapters, often involving claims of governors or incumbents attempting to handpick successors. So far, the aggrieved aspirants have forwarded formal petitions to the party's leadership, highlighting the potential for widespread litigation and legal actions against the APC for breaching its own regulations, as well as the Nigerian Constitution's provisions on democracy. Well, joining me now in the studio to clarify these allegations and other challenges confronting the ruling party ahead of the 2027 general elections is the national spokesperson of the All Progressives Congress, APC, FELIX MORKA, who is also a human rights lawyer, an urban development activist, and founder, Social and Economic Rights Action Center. But before my discussion with him, let's quickly bring you trending political happenings across Nigeria. You are most welcome, and this is Democracy Today on AIT. I am Enemaku Ojochegba in Abuja, Nigeria's capital.
Hello and welcome to political development across Nigeria. I am Funke Ogunlolu. Now, the national chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, Yusuf Dantali, has called for the immediate amendment or outright repeal of the Electoral Act 2026, warning that its current provisions could undermine Nigeria's democratic process and jeopardize the credibility of the 2027 general elections. Dantale said this while delivering an address at a meeting with the Independent National Electoral Commission and the leaders of political parties held at the Commission's headquarters in Abuja. Now, to the All Progressives Congress, APC, in Ondo State, it has warned that internal divisions could undermine its chances in the 2027 general election. The newly inaugurated state chairman of the party, Kolawole Babatunde, says unity among members is crucial to securing victory in the 2027 polls.
The party cannot approach the forthcoming election as a divided body. We need to come together as one. While I'm celebrating, I'm also thinking on how to win the forthcoming election, knowing fully that the governor has created a level playground.
Coalition of women's organizations across Nigeria's 26 states has intensified for the passage of the special bill, submitting for the continues deliberations on constitutional argue that although the 1999 Constitution, as amended, guarantees freedom from discrimination and the right to participate in governance, women, who make up nearly half of Nigeria's population, remain significantly underrepresented in political leadership. Now, the EFCC operatives who stormed and sealed the former Attorney General of the Federation and the chieftain of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, Abubakar Malami's house in Maitama, Abuja, on Monday, shortly after a visit to former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, are still laying siege at his residence. The operations were linked to ongoing corruption investigations and alleged money laundering, for which the former AGF has been in and out of custody. this renewed probe that arms were discovered at Malami's residence in Kebbi State during a recent research. At his residence in Maitama, some who spoke to AITs stationed at the premises said journalists will not be allowed to gain entrance into the street housing the Malami's residence, as search is still ongoing in the building. One of Malami's employed security guards, who disclosed anonymity, revealed to AIT that the security operatives barged into the premises at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, jumping the fence instead of passing through the gate of the house. And when he questioned them for illegal accessibility, he alleged being manhandled by the security operatives and seized his phone to delete some of the recordings he captured. Recently, the ADC chieftain had fulfilled bail condition and was released before latest incident, with reports now indicating he faces a fresh investigation.
Thanks for staying with us. This is Democracy Today on AIT. If you're just tuning in, well, you're most welcome. My guest is already seated. He's the APC's national spokesperson, FELIX MORKA. Many thanks for joining us on the program today.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
We're discussing the APC's convention and the politics of 2027 elections, your party. It's been, well, many years since you last held your national convention, since 2022. What could have caused the delay between that time and now?
Well, our national conventions are statutorily mandated to be conducted every 4 years, our elective national conventions. So you're right that our last convention for the election of national officers occurred in 2022. This is 2026, that's 4 years. I was elected as national spokesman at that convention, and you know, every national officer is afforded a 4-year term by the Constitution. So as you can imagine, we're just coming up. So we're right on schedule. We're not in any delay for this convention at all. Because upon election in 2022, we were constitutionally mandated to serve for 4 years. So this is, you know, just the right time.
Exactly. In other words, it's in line with your Constitution?
Completely in line with the Constitution. So that suggestion that there's a delay is actually very incorrect.
All right, let's move on to, you know, activities before the convention now. It's holding this Saturday, but there are allegations members of your own party are alleging, you know, hoarding of forms. Many of them are saying they have not been allowed to purchase forms. Many of them already haven't paid and all of that. But why all of this coming up at this time? Are there any such, you know, instances where people are not allowed to participate even according to your own laws?
In your intro to this show, you said a lot. You threw out quite a lot of allegations, many of which
by members of your party
are very untrue. And when you say many, I don't know how many you know who are actually, you know, making this.
Okay, you tell me what you
allegation.
know.
But that's exactly what I'm about to tell you. You know, our national convention is being conducted. All of the preliminary processes are unfolding exactly as they should. Now, keep in mind that the National Convention is the culmination of our, you know, statutory processes that began with the ward congresses, followed by the local government congresses and the state congresses. And, you know, on the 25th, which is tomorrow, we are conducting our zonal congresses. So the National Convention, which is, you know, upcoming, is the terminal point of all of that process. And it's gone very well so far, from ward to local government to state. You know, hopefully zona goes well, and then the convention. You know, so there's nothing really untoward. Now, the suggestions you made about allegations of people who say they, you know, quite frankly, I know of 2 individuals. You know, if they're more than 2, you know,
let's begin with the 2.
I'm just not aware. You know, look, when a party calls for expression of interests, like we did, that is the beginning of the steps. And along with that announcement comes, you know, a detailing of the guidelines that govern this process. One of those, you know, features is zoning. Zoning is something that parties do sometimes to, you know, ensure spread and ensure that, you know, all of the officers of the party don't come from one particular sector of the country. So that is done sometimes intentionally to, again, afford access and representation to, the constituent parts of this country. So when certain offices are zoned to certain, zones, geopolitical zones, or to certain states, now, if you are interested in vying for any office, the first thing you do is to be attentive to what is zoned to your, your zone or to your state. So if, for example, the office of chairman is zoned to North Central, and you are from the Southwest, and you go, paying money to purchase form for national chairman, and you are not from that zone, then, you are in breach of the guidelines. So that's something that requires just information for you to even make informed decisions about what you, express interest to run for. First, apprise yourself with relevant information. For instance, if you're from Delta State, you must know that in the current dispensation, the office that is available to Deltans to compete for is the office of the National Public Secretary, which is the office that I hold today. Right. So if you are from Osun State or from Ebonyi State and you go pay money to buy that form, you are the one who really has questions to answer as to why you went ahead to buy form for an office that's not zoned to you. So look, there are many peculiarities about some of these issues. So it's not as simple as anyone just banding allegations that the party is stopping them from running because there's something untoward going on. That's not the case.
So why paying the money? Why were the officers who were paying the money to purchase these forms were not duly informed in the event that even if they feign ignorance, right? Why wasn't it duly made known to them that look, this is how it is by the Constitution, and then allow the ambiguities not to even arise in the first place? It's unity in the party that is supreme to begin with.
How do you mean, why do we not, let them know? How do you enable them to know other than to publish information? I signed a number of statements, at least 2 that I recall, again, clarifying that the zoning, existing zoning formula that applied in 2022 remains applicable in this moment. So, any diligent person would ask the question, I'm from Delta State, I'm from the South-South. What is zoned to the South-South and to Delta in particular? Before proceeding, that is the duty of someone who is going to pay money. Money is, of value. So if you're going to pay it into the party's account, you better know what you're paying for.
So why, if the position is already, designed in this manner, why are the, receiving officers why didn't they notify those who pay the money that, look, you can't pay, you have to take your money back?
My dear friend, listen.
Or is it that the money is not refundable of some sort?
No, listen. If the party, as the party does, publishes a call for expression of interest and provides all of the information in that publication, including bank accounts, and you take your phone in your bedroom and you decide to make a purchase or pay money for that, you're saying that the national treasurer or the financial secretary of the party should be present in that person's bedroom to tell them, no, you are paying for the wrong form, please don't pay. You see, look, that's not the way it works.
It may be automated, but having expressed their dilemma, for lack of another word, isn't it about time that they are notified that, look, before they even go ahead to start threatening legal actions and filing petitions and all of that?
Look, we need to slow down. You're accelerating too much. That's not the way it works. Let me explain.
All right.
We're talking about a process that is unfolding in a matter of, you can calculate in a matter of hours. When this, expression of interest forms, opened, and today, when the forms were due for collection and for submission. These are very tightly controlled timeframes by the party. So you're saying, somebody says, I paid money and I paid money for the wrong form. For instance, we have a case, one of them who is, quite an old member of the party,
right,
who made a payment for forms for the Office of National Secretary. Whereas he's from Delta, that position was zoned very publicly, and that information was everywhere, zoned to Osun State, to the Southwest and to Osun State. So when that individual paid, if you made that payment, it is your duty, when you realize you made the wrong payment, to, at some point, approach the party to make a request for them to maybe give you a waiver to have that money refunded, if the party decides, because the party is not under any obligation to refund such monies because you paid it. Nobody came into your bank account to take money. So because before you pay for anything, buyer beware. You caveat emptor. You look very carefully before you pay.
But they are members of the party. That means they forfeit the money they paid.
That's not.
Is it stated clearly that they are about to forfeit these monies for forms in the event that this happens?
Let's not push this beyond this because otherwise it gets ridiculous. Because we're talking about adults here who manage their lives. And these are people we respect. Some of them I know, and we have respect for them. But when people do things that they are not supposed to do, and they realize that, sometimes they walk it back.
The party has also got integrity in order to, these members.
Please, let's not speak the language of integrity, because when you say that, you open that conversation to a lot of ifs and counters. What is here is that I am quite sure that no member of APC has told you, or that you've read somewhere, that individual came forward to the party and said, look, I need a refund of this money I paid and wasn't refunded. If you have that, please give me that information. So let's not speculate, to suggest that, and besides, like I said, the party is not obliged to make any refunds. However, it's a political party, and the party has discretion to manage its affairs the way it chooses. So if somebody...
But now that they are threatening litigations now, how will the party compensate its own members?
Okay, let me say that we in the APC don't... we have very heightened systems for managing matters like this. None of this is anything extraordinary.
All right.
We have systems of intervention. Even one or two of the individuals that I know, like I told you, who are members of the party who were caught in this, from conversation, having conversations at some levels with the party, because we have systems where, when issues arise, we have systems to deal with them and to manage those matters, and that is ongoing as we speak.
All right.
Which is why I'm saying that none of this really is live. And even if, I know there are media reports, people want to speculate and ask the sort of questions, that is fine. But I think that ultimately the party has mechanisms to deal with this, and we're dealing with them.
Now that the Constitution is fast approaching, is this weekend, what are the expectations? Nigerians are hopeful. Many people who are sympathetic to your party, they may not even be members of your party, but it's the ruling party, of course, and you enjoy vantage position in the hearts of many Nigerians and all of that. So what are the expectations from this convention as it approaches?
We are very excited about our convention. We're looking forward to it. All of the steps that are required to be taken are being taken. Our central coordination committee for the convention and our subcommittees are all doing their job. The meetings going on around this city and elsewhere to bring all of the strands together to deliver a seamless national convention. That is ongoing, and we're looking forward to it. And keep in mind that this is the convention that this president is going to participate as a leader of the party, because the last convention in 2022 was under the leadership of the former president, the late president, God bless his soul. So we're very excited because this president came on this job swinging, really demonstrating very rare political will to tackle Nigeria's problems. So with 4 years now coming by, our convention provides us that opportunity to reinforce the structures of the party, deliver very clear message to Nigerians that we're here and we mean business and we're ready to govern like we've done over this period and looking forward to the future.
We understand that it is during conventions of national conventions of political parties like this that many issues arise, divisions come, and all of that. I'm not predicting doom for your party, but how politics is sometimes unpredictable like that, and issues arise, especially issues of anointed candidates, governors, and other political office holders, sort of intending to anoint, their successors and all of that. And we're hearing that there are some members of the National Working Committee who are, in collusion with some other high-profile members of the ruling party that, these are, in the works. That what can you tell me regarding that?
This convention, let me just make a very important distinction. This convention is not a convention to elect those who govern in the executive branch or in the legislature. This is an internal party convention.
But it's still an elective convention.
To elect the national officers of the party, because your comments made reference to governors anointing their successors. This is not the occasion where governors play to anoint anyone who is going to contest offices in the executive branch or in the legislative branch. This is simply an internal convention, an internal election to elect only members of the National Working Committee of the All Progressives Congress. So I think we need to be clear about what this convention is about. So that's it. So we're not expecting or envisaging any kind of rancorous process. Don't forget that under our party constitution, we have 3 methods for how we manage things. One of those methods is the consensus mode, which now the Electoral Act has given even more prominence to, when the indirect primary system was taken out. Now, what this means is that our party prioritizes conversation. We prioritize members of the party coming together to talk through and think through issues and resolve matters and choose those who lead, who govern, who represent the party at different levels. In our last congresses from ward to local government to state and hopefully to the zonal tomorrow, we put premium on this level so that before the convention, a lot of issues are discussed, contested, and resolved, and go to the convention with relative, coherence and alignment, that makes us, come out, looking well, because a lot of those issues are already dealt with even before.
Talking about the consensus mode, in the event that, how well does that sit with all members of the party? Because, there are a lot of talks around that doesn't quite sit well, because consensus by its very nature, everybody must agree. And does it quite sit well with all the members who are concerned in this regard?
There's no mode of anything under the sun.
Did you see that? But this is politics.
Let me finish what I'm trying to say.
All right.
There's nothing under the sun where, you have any system for the mediation of, interests, or where you have competing alternatives that sit well, with everybody anytime. So there's no mode by which that is done. Even in homes, sometimes how you dish food in your kitchen, can result in somebody saying, look, my portion is not as big as your portion, and that is an issue. And then you have to deal with that. The point I'm making is that, whatever works, as long as it's legal and it's democratic. If, in APC, when I say we have other methods, we have, direct competition for everything when the occasion requires that. But the point I'm making is that, coherence and participation, democracy is about participation by those who are eligible to participate. When they participate, the outcomes, whether it's acceptable to everybody or not, as long as the outcomes reflect the will of those who, the deciders, those who are entitled to decide, either in the majority or in the minority, that is exactly the outcome that is consistent with the expectations of, a democracy. So look, it's not always about people outside looking in, those on the inside. We had our ward congresses. I don't know how many cases that are in court all over the country. We had our local government congresses. I don't know how many cases that are in court all over the country.
Congresses.
We had state congresses as well. So, the zonal and the national convention will
the
not
state
be an
congresses
exception.
are not without, very serious rancors. Now, for instance, in Benue State, there were parallel congresses, one, headed by the governor and then the one loyal to the SGF. This hasn't, as of now, hasn't quite been resolved, except if you tell me something different now. So now that you are heading into a convention, are you looking at an instance where, the governor and the SGF can sit down together and resolve that? Because it didn't quite sit well. Somewhere in Ondo State as well, someone unfortunately even died regarding, during these congresses. So how are you looking towards resolving those issues? There shouldn't be parallel, leadership structures of your party in the states. A state like Benue State.
Yes, parallel contestations or congresses are not, conducted within the frameworks of the party constitution. At any one, point in time, the party's, congresses are known.
All right.
They demonstrate or display certain features that without which you don't actually, they're not congresses. People say parallel congresses, but there's no such thing as parallel congresses. You have a congress and you have those who gather elsewhere, suggesting that they're doing a congress.
In other words,
and they're not doing the
in
congress.
this instance, there is an authentic one, therefore.
There's always an authentic congress.
Which one is the authentic one?
Listen, I won't get into that.
But the audience needs to know now.
I won't say, look, listen, I'm a party man, and I'm the national spokesman of the party.
That's the reason Nigerians need to know from you.
No, hang on. This is the point.
Okay.
We had congresses in Benue State, ward, local government, and the state congresses.
Of course.
We had them, and today there is no dispute as to the outcomes of our congresses. Let me finish the point I was making.
Okay.
So that you can get a clearer perspective. My point is that, for instance, to have a congress, the congresses at these levels are conducted by the national party under the authority of the National Working Committee. Now, what that means is that the National Working Committee constitutes committees that manage these, congresses from ward, local, state to national. Now, these committees are dispatched by the national party from Abuja to go and conduct congresses in certain zones, with specific mandates of, date, time, venue, location.
All right.
And INEC is required by law to oversee
That's right.
those, events. A congress is that where all of these features are present. Now, any other gathering without these features is not Congress, properly so called. So, but because we are about, even when people have done that, our party has robust mechanisms for pulling them back together in talks and in reconciliation so that the party moves forward. So, which is why I can't say more, because as we speak, in Benue and in some other states, the party is vigorous and engaging and seeking to, whatever the issues are, locally, to mediate them, to resolve them, transform them, and bring people together. I'll give you an example of the Ondo State issue that you referred to, where congresses were scheduled, and during the congresses, apparently unknown to the party and unknown to those members of the committee who were on ground conducting these congresses, a court order and an interim, court order was obtained, and this party order was obtained, stopping that convention. But they went ahead and concluded that event before we realized that there was in fact such a court order. What happened? The party quickly, pulled down that process, even though it was done with all the trappings of Congress. But the party said no, that there's been an intervening court order. Even when we're not served, we could have contested it, but we said no, just to avoid any issues, we pulled it down and rescheduled that Congress. And before the new Congress was conducted, the party dispatched its emissaries to, mediate the issues, bring the parties together, and then we had a Congress which, with which everyone in Ondo State is today happy with. The governor is happy with it, and all of the leaders together are happy about it. That's how we operate. Peace is not the absence of conflict, of tension. It's the maturity by which,
in other words,
it is mediated or handled.
These issues, will they be looked into at the convention?
What issues?
Especially the one in Benue and, of course, Ondo State and every other place, no matter how small these commissions are, because as we speak, whether anybody likes it or not, there are still, there's still more than one, APC leadership in the state.
No.
This group claims they are the authentic one, and this other group claims they are the authentic one. So, how will that be resolved by the end of the convention on Saturday?
Well, those matters have nothing to do with the convention.
I understand, but that's the highest organ of the party.
No, those matters have. The National Convention is not a conflict resolution convention. That's not the way it's conceptualized.
My concern is how can the issue in Benue is a crisis that is brewing, if not tackled, could spiral out of control.
No, it's not.
Your party doesn't want that.
It's not spiraling. I already answered that question. I told you that as we speak, there are ongoing engagements in Benue and anywhere else where we have any misalignment amongst the leaders who matter in the state. That engagement is on, but that does not mean that we had two, competing, congresses. We didn't. We had one congress and other activities. But like I said, whether those who participated in the Congress and those who gathered elsewhere, they are all valued members of our party, which is why at every turn and opportunity, we take efforts, get some of our really experienced, highly respected members to mediate those. Those mediations and interventions are ongoing, whether it's in Benue or anywhere else where people had any reason to be dissatisfied. That is what matters. That is the defining feature of a party, not the absence of conflict. You can never have a situation in human affairs.
Well, of course, it's when it becomes a violent conflict that, and threatens life, that it becomes, a bother. All right, I understand that, of course, in compliance with Section 88 of the Electoral Act, some ministerial appointees are expected to leave office, in other words, resign before, the elections and all of that. Notable among them is the Minister of Power, Debayo Adelabu, and because the notable reason is because he is eyeing the governorship of your state. Well, we haven't heard from him. We are really hoping that we'll get, very direct from him very lately. But many people are anxious to know, the people, because there can be no vacuum in government. So many people are anxious to know how the covering up, let me put it that way, of these positions are going to be. Now, you know that the 13% derivation, for women in this administration is also a very, very interesting issue. So will the party be considering women this time around to fill the positions that are going to be left vacant?
Well, your question calls on me to speculate. And I'm not in the habit of speculating.
You don't have to speculate. You should. You're a national officer, so you should know some.
You're asking me to speak to the question of ministers who may be resigning, who have yet to resign. And, I don't speak for them, and I can't tell you who is planning to resign, who is not planning to resign. That calls me to speculate. They're members of my party.
And by the law, they are mandated to resign since they have ambition to contest for office.
But, why fast track? Why don't you just take a deep breath and wait for them to announce their resignation and then bring me back here to have that conversation? When they have not made the announcement, I am not competent to tell you who is resigning and who is not resigning. That's not my mandate. I am not,
The APC-led government did promise at different fora, at different occasions, during campaigns, even in the process of governance between May 29 and now, that women will be given pride of place.
I am not speaking about women. I was responding to your question about ministers and resignation.
That has been put paid. Now, I'm talking about the women in your party. I know you also care for them. The party cares for the women in its fold.
Definitely.
What are we looking at? Aren't there women who are competent enough to fill these positions? Apart from the position of the Minister of Power, you also have Muhammad Ali Party, Minister of Health. He hopes to contest the governorship of Bauchi State.
Has both ministers informed you of their resignation?
They don't have to.
You speak as though you have information.
They don't have. I'm a journalist. Now, by the end of this month, they should have left. That's the ultimatum given to them.
You see, look, why do you speak in that language? You speak as though you are certain in stone that they're resigning. Even if they resign,
FELIX, are you not aware that they are going to resign?
Listen, I am not aware of who is going to resign. I don't bother myself with who is going to resign. I deal with those who resign. That's when I come in. And if you ask me that question, I respond to you. That is speculative to say to me, to speak to somebody who's thinking, or you think they resign.
Let's put it this way.
But have not resigned.
In the event that they do resign eventually, I'm concerned now about women in your party, because they have, consistently insisted that they need to be given attention.
My dear brother, in the event that there's vacancy in the executive, council, there's only one authority that is endowed by the Constitution with the prerogative to make appointments, and that is Mr. President.
You still need to consult the party as well.
Consultation does not in any way dilute authority of the president to make nominations.
Isn't he loyal to the party?
Of the president. That is not, look, the president may consult the party, may consult anyone he chooses to consult. Ultimately, my point is that it is the president who has the authority to decide. He is the decider and no one else. Now, my point is that Mr. President cares enormously about our women. He deals with our women with, enormous recognition of their value that they bring to the party and to the service of country. So I have no doubt that any time the president has the opportunity to bring more women to serve our country, he will do so.
It will be interesting to see that happening, yes, because you remember the reserve seat for women and all of that. We're not going there. No, never mind.
Okay.
Now, after the convention, there may be fallout. Usually there is fallout in Nigeria's politics, as we know it. There's always fallout. I know you say you don't envisage that, but how are you going to manage that? Because definitely people will be aggrieved. We are looking at them now. Those who talked about they paid for forms and they're refunding of their money and all of that. There will definitely be fallout, aggrieved members and all of that. How are you going to set up mechanisms to manage that?
We have standing committees for conflict resolution, reconciliation committees. Those are standing committees, meaning that whether there's conflict or no conflict, membership of those committees are there. And once there's conflict that's disclosed that warrants their intervention, the authority is triggered, and that process is almost homeostatic. It's self-executing. So again, we're not envisaging, but if should it happen, because like I said, in any human gathering, conflict is something that is just as possible as
You're talking
peace.
about conflict. So, conflict of interest could arise too, and the elections that have.
But the conflict we're talking about is not about people coming to punch each other. It's always about conflict of interest for the most part. People disagree, and I want A, he wants B. How you mediate that and bring that together is what really matters. So my point is that APC, and I think, let me say this, and I think that this is one feature that sets APC apart from the other political parties. Which is why even with the relative expanded size of our party, we still manage to maintain some very significant level of cohesion amongst our members, because we're very proactive in these matters. I give you the example of the Ondo State, how we pulled down a Congress just because of these sort of tendencies. So look,
Felix, let me ask you this. Yes. We're wrapping up now. We have less than a few minutes to go. There is serious alliances going on. Remember, your party came into existence by mega alliance way back. Now there are serious alliances going on and all of that. Are you, by any means, what are your concerns regarding these alliances coming together? Because you are a party to beat. That's what you believe.
Quite frankly, as national spokesman of the APC, I don't have any concerns. The only concern I have is how well we are preparing, how well my party, the APC, is putting its acts together in readiness for the election. That's the only worry. So if we don't sleep at night because we're planning and thinking, is how we convince Nigerians and the last voters to vote for us. What the other parties are doing, whether it's the ADC or Labour Party or the PDP, is quite frankly not on our radar. That's not our concern. They do their thing, we do our thing.
The time is ticking towards the weekend. We'll see how that goes.
We'll see how it goes.
Of course, many thanks indeed. FELIX MORKA, the APC's national spokesperson. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
That's our show for today. Don't forget, you can follow us on all social media handles. You can also find me on all social media handles. I'll see you again tomorrow. I am Enemaku Ojochebe. Bye for now.